Legends, welcome back to another Ruck Infringement Podcast team preview. This week, we're talking the Newcastle Knights. To join me, Linc from the United. How are you, mate?
How you doing, brother? Thank you for having us on, mate.
Mate, it is my pleasure. Great to have you here. Now, before we get started, do you want to let people know who you are and tell us a little bit about the United?
Oh, who I am. Jeez. If my reputation doesn't precede me, mate. I'm a mad Newcastle Knights supporter. If the bar behind me wasn't a dead giveaway of that already. Founder of the United, social media platform and fast-rising podcast covering all things Newcastle Knights, mate. So everything from team list right through to the Sunday review, even the NRLW Wednesdays. So we've got 3 shows each and every week. Well, that's when the NRLW season kicks off, obviously. So, it's sort of heating up for us, mate, getting into the good stuff now. So we've had a long off season. Now we get to dip our toes into the 2025 season, pal.
Mate, I love it. And people can just find you on all social media?
Mate, we are everywhere. You can't miss us, pal. So we're on pretty much every social media platform there is, mate. You can't not see us.
Love it. All right, go check out the United if you are listening on Spotify or checking us out on the YouTube right now. But, mate, let's jump into the Knights ins and outs for 2025. Now, let's start off with some of these ins. Of course, Tyrone Thompson comes over from Rugby New Zealand, James Schiller from the Raiders, and Matt Arthur from the Eels are the most notable. If we jump over to the outs, we've got Miles Martin has gone to the Raiders, David Armstrong to Lee, Daniel Saifiti to the Dolphins, and Ari Tuala to the Bulldogs. Tom Jenkins released. And I'm always going to get his name wrong, but I'm just going to call him Christian, and he's also been released as well.
Mate, Christian Papalungi, yeah.
Yes, well done. You've been practicing. Mate, take us through some of those ins and outs. Are you excited about some of them? Are you disappointed with some that are gone?
It's always exciting, isn't it, when you get some new faces around the club and you hope for the best for them. Obviously, there's always players that you wish you could keep. Unfortunately, the nature of the salary cap and whatnot, that isn't always the case. I guess the big one for us was Daniel Saifiti. Him and his brother, up until, they're our longest serving at the moment. Up 2015, they debuted. So,
wow.
They've been around the club a long, long time. Daniel being a representative player, sort of in and out of rep football. Consistency, unfortunately, plagued him a little bit. He was a player that when he was on, he was great. We just didn't get to see enough of it. Would have been great to keep him, but, the Knights' salary cap issues is well documented at this point in time. So, unfortunately, we had to cut him loose. Anari Tuala is, probably in the general public isn't a big-name player, but he was always a player that a lot of Knight supporters beloved. Anari Tuala. He was one of those guys. Was he a world beater? No, but he was going to give you at least a 7 out of 10. He was a plug-and-play guy. If Dom Young was out or something like, he just plugged that right wing spot so well. We had him for a long, long time. The Bulldogs got a good one there. Who else did you say we lost?
I think you've lost. Let's have a look there as well. Of course, David Armstrong as well.
Oh, yeah, Davey Armstrong. He was a bit of fun. Davey Armstrong was fun. I was there for his debut against the Dolphins in that Anzac game. He was good. In the absence of KP, and then Fletcher Sharp was still injured at that point. So he sort of leapfrogged Fletch. He was sort of third string. But, he had a great connection there, particularly with Jackson Hastings. I think he picked up a double on his debut, which was phenomenal. So he was a lot of fun. But yeah, as I said, mate, you can't keep them all, but we've got a pretty handy guy called Fletcher Sharp, mate. That's not too bad. Not too bad.
Mate, he did very, very well in the trials. A lot of talk about him, whether he could play 5'8", where he was going to play this year. But we'll talk a little bit about that soon. Let's jump into our predicted lineups for round one. Now, for those who are listening for the first time, we'll tell you our predicted lineups. If there is an injured player, we'll give you an alternative as well. All right, let's jump into the number one, the fullback, the captain. Look, no one's gunning for his spot. Kalen Ponga, mate. Are you in agreement?
Absolutely, mate. I do not want any talk of him moving anywhere else, mate. Us Knight supporters, our stomachs turn when Kalen Ponga and 5'8" are in the same sentence. So, no, you want to dally in there, let's keep him there, mate. So, yes, unequivocally, Kalen Ponga will be our fullback. Yes.
I completely agree with you, mate. Do not move him. Let's look at your wingers now. James Schiller, I thought, was really, really good in the trials. I've named him on one wing alongside, of course, Greg Marju on the other. Are you in agreement?
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, trial one, we had the worst completion rate of any team week one of trial, so we really didn't get to see a lot of attacking football. Had a couple of little, couple of nice touches with the ball. Again, it's only trials football, but then the second game was much the same. All of our love was on the left-hand side. We are sort of a more predominant left edge attacking side. We're hoping, 2025 sees it spread back a little bit more, like the Dom Young days when he broke our try-scoring record in a season. But, geez, he's strong. He's fast. Talking to a lot of Raider supporters, there was no doubt in their minds he was quite good with the ball in hand. The question marks came around his defense. The only try that we let in the first half was a pretty poor read on Daniel Tupou. These things take time. You've got a new combination on the right edge with Gags and James Schiller. I'm not going to read into it too much, but yeah, he looks exciting. I can't remember what it was. He scored 9 tries in 11 games or something for the Raiders, something absurd, and he's dominating in New South Wales Cup. He's clearly too good to be in New South Wales Cup. So yeah, I'm excited to let that man cook on our right wing for sure. And Greg Marzu, yeah. What can you say about Greg Marzu's set and forget that fella, mate?
Mate, something that really impressed me with Schiller was that hit on Angus Crichton. Now, Angus Crichton, arguably the best second rower in the comp last season, and Schiller just monstered him.
There was 2 of them. Who was the other? Was it Lindsay Smith down below? So he got a twofer.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, 2 representative level forwards. Yeah, geez, that was good. It just goes to show the physicality, and not only that too. The guy leapt up with the best of him in Tupou. You know what I mean? Renowned for his aerial threat and under the high ball. Yep. And he was up there with him. So no doubt in our mind, athleticism. The guy's got it. We need to see a little bit more of it. We were starved of sort of any opportunity with James Schiller. So it's going to be good to see him get some more opportunities come round one, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Let's jump into the centres. Of course, they speak for themselves, Dane Gagai and Bradman Best. The best is yet to come, as they would say. Mate, anyone chasing their spots?
Absolutely not. I will die on the hill that Bradman Best is the best left centre in the world currently. Mate, when he is fit and healthy, unfortunately, soft tissue stuff has plagued him a little bit, plagued him towards the end of last year. But when he's on, mate, we've all seen, you're wearing a Blues jersey. He absolutely kills it in the big games. He's a big game player. And I think the best, as you said, the best is yet to come. I still think there's levels to Brady's game that we haven't quite seen yet. And, mate, Dane Gagai, the bloke doesn't age. I keep calling the Cabernet Sauvignon, the red wine. It just gets better with age, brother. He's a genetic freak. And it was only 2023, that great 10-game win streak. Those 2 boys together had the most try assist and tackle breaks of any centre pairing in the comp. So absolutely, mate. Those 2 boys set and forget. And, yeah.
Mate, Bradman's an absolute monster. I would not want to be opposing him. Let's jump into the halves now. Interesting. I wouldn't have had Fletcher Sharp heading into this year, but after what I saw in the trials, Fletcher Sharp's my number 6. My number 7, I think I'm leaning towards Cogger. I'm really not sure. The 7's really hard there for the Newcastle Knights, as you would know as a fan. Mate, how do your halves look?
I'm with you. Fletch for 6. We got the receipts. We've been, bashing the Fletcher Sharp drum for a long time. A lot of your listeners might realise he rose through our ranks as a half. It's not new to him. There's only come SG ball time. He made a positional switch for the team's sake. So, it's not new to him. I think you can see that with his ball playing, support play. He looks pretty comfortable there. And what's really, really refreshing for us Knight supporters is it just brings a bit of pace. Even go back to 2023 when we were, on fire. We looked like we were pretty nearly unbeatable. When we had Tyson Gamble and Jackson Hastings, neither of them renowned for their speed. And we still went on a run. But just to see Fletch, some of those tries we pulled off against the Roosters, him floating around the left edge, were just exceptional. A couple of little scoots out of dummy half, and the first trial really got us going. So I think, it'll be a massive disappointment to all of us night supporters to see the man get the 6 jersey for 2 trial matches, and they have it sort of reefed away from him. Because that's something that plagued us all. That was the story for us last year, was the chopping and changing. I think we had 8 different combinations. And you just can't play consistent football when you chop it and change that much. So,
No.
We just said, if they're going to pick Fletch and whoever they're going to pick in the halves, 2 months minimum, 8 weeks, let them cook.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But yes, I think the most mysterious jersey, I think, in the entire Telstra Premiership 2025 is the Newcastle Knights number 7. There's never been so many questions asked about a position. And I don't know about Cogs. I've got a good feeling about Tyson Gamble. I think Tyson Gamble he picked up a little bit of a back niggle coming into the second trial against the Roosters. He was named. It was only up to Saturday night. The night before he was omitted from the team. Which tells me Adam O'Brien, he's got the front, he's got the box seat. I think his kicking games, particularly his long kicking game, is second to none in our roster. And I think he's just got the synergy with the guys around him. I keep going back to that 10-game win streak. You don't win 10 games straight if something's not going right. And he was plugged in there, and he was doing a phenomenal job. So I tend to think Cogs is going to be a backup for us. I think that's moving forward his spot. Unless, injury or something would occur. But I'm going to go Tyson Gamble. If I'm a betting man, I reckon Tyson Gamble will be our number 7 come round 1.
Yeah, very nice. Of course, Jackson Hastings probably on the outer a bit now as well. And you've also got Crosland, but we'll talk about Crosland in this next section because I think he's been playing fantastic at hooker. Let's jump into our front row, mate. Now, of course, that man I mentioned, I'm going to have Phoenix at number 9. I think he's done really, really well so far. Your front rowers, Leo Thompson for the moment is still there. And your other front rower, Jacob Saifidi, I think they get the nod to start round 1.
Yeah, they'll be your starters, mate. They're pretty much staples for us, those 2 boys. I think anyone's putting really great pressure to sort of get that starting spot. I think last year, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but those 2 were certainly more times than not absolutely our start front row pairing. My co-host and I we disagree on the hooker a little bit. I tend to think Jaden Brayley should start for us. I think we signed Jaden Brayley in 2020, and it's well documented his unfortunate injuries, our bloody hooker curse that we have here in the Knights, the Achilles and the ACL, and he's finally coming back to the sort of Jaden Brayley we come to know and love in 2020. He looks fast, he looks fresh, he looks fit. He's looking really, really good. I was really impressed from what I saw from Brails. He finished the year really strong for the Knights, and it looks like he's just taken off from where he left off in 2024, which is really, really pleasing to see. So for me, I would probably want to start Jaden Brayley. Look, I won't get too upset if it's finished Crossland there, but I just seem to think the first 20, 25 minutes, get Brails out there, do all the tough stuff, and then I just feel like Crossland offers a little bit more ball play. I think he'd be a bit more threatening around some tied middles, a bit of fatigue sets in. I think he offers a bit more upside. But yeah, there's not a lot in it, mate. I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep if AOB goes one way or the other. Put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Let's finish off with the back row and the lock. Now, of course, the back row, Dylan Lucas and Kai Pearce-Paul, 2 of probably, for me, 2 of the most entertaining back rowers to watch and 2 fantastic players. Mate, is anyone chopping them down?
Mate, you're hitting the nail on the head. Why have you even got me on here? I'm with you, brother. Dylan Lucas has been a revelation. He, mate, for such a big man, for all the listeners out there, I keep saying, if you've got a foot fetish, go check out Dylan Lucas's footwork. He is absolutely sensational. For a big guy, came through the ranks as more of an outside back, put on a lot of size, but he hasn't lost any of that footwork. I think back to Magic Round last year. I can't remember who he absolutely torched someone with the most brilliant left step I've ever seen. It was like a Freddie Fittler-esque step. It was for a big guy. It was insane. He does it over and over. And yeah, I think he is going to get that left spot. And then inside word, I messaged our boy KPP quite a bit, and I asked him a genuine question. I said, mate, do you feel more comfortable? You look more comfortable and parked on that right edge. And he's like, oh, absolutely. It's where I played most of my football. And reviewing a lot of the games last year, Shawnee and I were really KPP looked his best when he crabbed from the left side to the right side. And I think KPP is a player that we're hoping Adam O'Brien's let him he sort of let the leash off a little bit. We can see him trying to offload the ball a little bit more second phase play, because it's something he's capable of doing. It was one of the great things that he was doing over in the Super League that caught our eye to begin with. So it'd be great to see more of that, because defensively, he's been sensational. And that was sort of the big question marks around any Super League player, I guess, when they come here is, yeah, they can look great in attack, but, you know, they might struggle with a defensive workload and systems of the NRL. But he was statistically one of our best defensive players last year, which was really pleasing. So if you've got that set and you know what you can do in attack, you've got a great footballer there. So I absolutely think it'll unlock so much of KPP. We'll see so many more highlight packages from KPP, because believe it or not, he only scored one try last season, which is an absolute bloody travesty. It's a travesty. So I think that'll absolutely change with that switch over to the right, mate. But I'm with you. Our second row pairings, very different football players, but yes, very dynamic, huge ceilings on them, and they're just going to get better and better. Only the start of their rugby league careers, which is really exciting.
Very exciting, mate. And then to finish off the lock position for the starting 13, a bit of a mixture here. You've got Adam Elliott, of course, has done the job in the past. Tyson Frizzell, rumoured to be looking at moving back into the middle. Mate, who would your lock be?
Yeah, it's a conundrum, isn't it? Because after the first trial, we saw against Para, again, I preface this, I know it's just a trial, but we can only go what we can see, the eye test from that trial. And the player that came out and played lock, and we absolutely looked like we turned the tide. We scored more points than we had in that game, was Jackson Hastings. He looked really good. He was sensational. He'd been warming up with the forward, so we were sort of tipped off before the ball was kicked that, expect Jacko to be playing lock forward. But then second trial comes, he didn't run out until there was 7 minutes to go, and it was at half. So I think you can scratch out Jacko Hastings in the lock forward conversation, unfortunately. I think it's going to be Frizz. Frizz is just one of those guys for us, mate. Since he's been at our club since 2021, hand on my heart, I've never seen Tyson Frizzell play a bad game. The bare minimum you get from Tyson Frizzell is a 7.5 out of 10. He's sensational. A lot like Dane Gagai. They must be drinking the same water power. The guy doesn't age. He rarely gets injured. He is sensational. I was really impressed with some of the footwork he was putting on in and around the middle. Look, is he got the ball playing upside as, say, like an Adam Elliott? No. And he's never been renowned as a ball playing sort of a player. But I tell you what, he's uber fit. He's always going to be sniffing around for a bit of work. He can tackle for days. Defensively solid. I think he's probably your safe bet as your number 13. Because unfortunately for our boy Adam Elliott, missed both trial through injury. So, Tyson's just too much of a quality player to not have there for the majority of the minutes. So I would be suspecting Tyson Frizzell will be the 13, mate.
Yeah, for sure. Now, let's look at the bench makeup. There's a few players we can put there. Of course, you mentioned that man Jackson Hastings before, could potentially be a 14. Cogs, even Crosland if Brayley does get the start. Of course, we've got Jack Heverington probably on the bench there as well, and possibly Adam Elliott. Mate, anyone else that comes to mind?
Matty Croker. Don't sleep on Matty Croker. Knights expected to announce a contract extension once more for our boy Matty Croaks. Mate, I'll tell you now, to all the listeners, do not sleep on Matty Croker. He was our unsung hero in our season review awards night on the United podcast. He is sensational. I've earmarked in 2026, he will be our starting lock. And, mate, he's just a faster, younger version of our boy Adam Elliott. Not going to break the bank for us, local boy. I think he's done enough to earn a bench spot. He's sort of a guy up until this point. He's sort of that fringy guy that's in and out. But again, I don't recall a bad game from him. He's never had a Barry Crocker. Might have had some quiet games, which is expected. These guys aren't going to hit their straps till later. He's still early 20s, Matty Croak. So we're very early into his rugby league career. I think he'll pick up a bench spot. Jack Hetherington, he was sensational. I think of all the forwards that played in the trial matches, he was the standout. He was physical. We all know what he's a bit of a firebrand. We know and I don't begrudge him for wanting to knock off bloody Reed Marnie's head. I think most players would like to knock Reed Marnie's head off. He's a bit of a firebrand, but he seems to have channeled it in the right ways. He's got all that shit out of his game. He was great. I think he was really, really good. A player that's allegedly been tapped on the shoulder and not going to be offered a contract. So if that is the case, he's going to be looking to pick up something elsewhere or looking to impress our recruitment guys at the Knights to maybe snag a contract extension. So I think Hetherington's going to absolutely be there because our forward stocks has been questioned a little bit. But yeah, 14's an interesting one, mate. It really is. I don't like it. There's a couple of times where Adam O'Brien's picked Jack Cogger, which I do not like at all. But yeah, I think you're going to have Brails and Crossland. If there's no injury, whoever doesn't start 9, they'll be a 14 for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, some fantastic predicted lineups there. Of course, we are not magicians. We are not, we could be completely wrong. Well, Linc isn't, but I could be completely wrong. So just take it with a grain of salt, of course. But if we are right, then we are geniuses. But let's move on to our next part of the podcast. Of course, it is a bit of Supercoach chat. I'm going to run through a few players for your team from the Newcastle Knights that you might want to get in. Of course, our Supercoach comp code is there, 215716. Still plenty of time to jump in a couple of days before Vegas, so make sure you check that out. But if we head over to the Knights, of course, the big one for most people at the moment is Dylan Lucas. Now, he's in my team. You can play him in the second row and at centre. 616K, dual position, fantastic. It's what you want. If you don't have him, get him in. Look, he's probably, well, I'll talk about Origin later, but he could be a bit of a smoky, in my opinion. But at the moment, he's probably not going to play, so you've got him through that Origin period as well. We look at Kalen Ponga, of course, fullback, 790K in Supercoach. Fantastic option, premium option. He's going to get you fantastic points. He goal kicks as well, so there's some added points. And he's the focal point of the Newcastle Knights. So everything's going to go through KP, so he's going to make you a bucket load of points there. Some others to talk about for your fantasy team, James Schiller. Centre and wing, 515K. If he does land a wing spot, very juicy option there as well. And if we move down a little bit, I want to give you one for the Black Book, one coming through that I think might impress later on in the season or for next year. And of course, it's Riley Jones, a young hooker, 214K. Heard really good things about this kid. Be interesting to see if he can land a spot. Of course, you talked about that injury in the hooking stocks earlier, but they may play Cogger or even Hastings there. But we'll see what happens. But Riley Jones, one for the Black, will get him in if he does decide to make a debut. But there are a few Knights players for your Supercoach team heading into this season. Don't forget to check out our NRL Fantasy and NRL Supercoach comps. Of course, I will throw our codes and links in the description on YouTube and Spotify. All right, mate, let's jump into the Newcastle Knights, how we think they're going to go in 2025, where we think they're going to finish. I'll start off now. For me, the Knights have always been a club that I've admired. I admire the I admire I admire the grittiness of them and the working class attitude that Novocastrians have themselves, but the players also. It's a team that I've always gone. It's a battler. It's a battler team. It's full of the Aussie bloke that wants to give it a fair crack, and I love that about the Newcastle Knights. I haven't always had incredible success, but I think that's due to a number of things. You talk a bit about the salary cap, and of course, I think just not getting those marquee signings when they needed them. But let's talk about 2025. Now, what we saw in the trials from the Knights, I think, impressed a lot of people and changed a lot of minds. I think a lot of people, it's no secret that a lot of people have had them rumored to be in the bottom 4. It potentially wouldn't spoon for 2025. They saw those trials. Yeah. I know, it's crazy. especially considering what they've made the 8 the past 3 seasons, haven't they?
3 times in the last 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just crazy. I think people I honestly don't know what it is, but that game against the Roosters particularly, and the Roosters with a full strength side. I know it's a trial, but the Roosters with a full strength side, the Knights absolutely dominated. And for me, it's worrying signs for the Roosters, but it's also fantastic signs for the Newcastle Knights. A lot of people always talk about Kalen Ponga being the focal point. Everything has to go to Ponga. But I thought the team really gelled together, and they didn't just have to rely on KP to get us here and KP to get us there. As you mentioned, Fletcher Sharp was electrifying. He was fantastic, and going back through the middle and scoring tries and setting up tries, and he was incredible. And Bradman Best out in the centres as well. Like, it was just a really good performance from them. Mate, first, tell us about the Newcastle Knights for 2025. Where do you think they'll end up? And is there any hope we see a top 4 finish or potentially a premiership?
Well, look, I'm obviously going to be far more optimistic than most. A lot of your listeners probably sitting there, cool, this guy's going to be completely biased. I think we're a top 8 team. I genuinely feel that. Again, I keep going back to that magical run. I know it was 2 seasons ago, but the potential's there. And the team, look, okay, Dom Young isn't there, okay, and you haven't got maybe Saf and you got a new half, but more or less that team's there. That team's absolutely there. One thing that's been going, I'll tell you this, history lesson for all the listeners out there. The glory years for the Newcastle Knights was built upon the back of great juniors, a great junior crop. And we're seeing that. You're starting to see it now with Fletcher Sharp and Dylan Lucas are the first of that crop coming through. And Matty Croker and Brodie Jones to a degree as well. And then we've got a phenomenal nursery here. It's just been, for the past 15 years, it has just been torn to pieces. And you know what? It's getting built back brick by brick, and it's getting there. So there's a massive underswelling of great talent once more at the Newcastle Knights, and we're retaining the quality talent. For a long time, there's always the joke of, this guy used to play, it was in the Knights pathways, and the Roosters plucked, your Boyd Cordners, your Latrell Mitchells, that is hopefully coming. It has come to an end. It's in a healthy spot. And you're right. It's the interjection of guys like Fletcher Sharp, and playing that more expansive, not so conservative, boring football. Yep. It's something, Sean, we coined the term all brand football. It was boring. You don't want to eat it.
Exactly.
We want Fruit Loops football. Fun, exciting, colourful, high-powered. Because you got a guy like Kalen Ponga, and you want to play off the back of Kalen Ponga. Kalen Ponga isn't, the kind of player you want to put it this way. The Newcastle Knights of 2024 reminded me a lot of the Melbourne Storm teams you used to see in the early 2010s. High completion, grindy kind of teams. And we're not that. We're not that. Yep. You got Brady Best, you got Kalen Ponga, these sort of guys. It's got to be that's second phase, high energy type football. The Knights just weren't contesting kicks. I think we ranked 16th in attack last season. We were absolutely woeful. It was just purely on our defense. And defense gets slept on, I think, because it's under even more pressure because we're not scoring a lot of points. We're having to, the defense means so much more, and the fact we got in the 8th position with the second worst attacking team in the league is pretty phenomenal. So if we can sort out the attack, the defense hopefully is still there. All those systems are still there. Brian McDermott, our defensive guy, he's still there. Everyone buys in. Well, the only way is up, really, isn't it? Theoretically speaking. So I do have us top 8. Top 4, look, that was the goal in 2024 after that dream run. We didn't start the season well. We need to start the season really well because at the end of last year, we had a dream run. We had a really good run home last year, and it snuck us in the 8. So we're not afforded that ability. We had a terrible start to 2024. We had a 65% completion rate against the Raiders. We were terrible. And it's something that's always plagued the Newcastle Knights, mate, is the weight of expectation. Whenever people expect the Knights to do well, they crumble. So, hopefully the mantra in the Newcastle Knights is we're going to rise to expectation. Even if a lot of people have written us off, I think there's still quite a few that after, as you said, that trial match have gone, ooh,
yeah,
hang on here. There's a team in here, So if we can, luck comes into it. If you can stay fit, unlike the Roosters, who, they've had their fair share of injury. If we can avoid that, I definitely think top 8 is certainly not out of the equation for the Newcastle Knights at all.
I love it, mate. Look, dare to dream. Let's hope they can get there. Hey, it'll be
Mate,
fantastic.
shoot for the stars. What do they say? Aim for the stars, land on the moon, something like that. So
something like that.
Yeah.
Aim for Suncorp. But let's jump into a dynamite player for the Knights in 2025. It could be a rookie. It can be someone that's been there for 10 years. Mate, who is going to explode this season?
Oh, I've got 2 for you.
Beautiful.
One, you named before. I'm not a Supercoach player, but I had a mate of mine. He said, "Oh, mate, I can't remember who he had. He had someone in the second row. He goes, oh, he's out." I said, "Mate, if Dylan Lucas is available, pick him up. Pick him up."
Yeah.
And I went on record last year and I put my balls on the line. I said, this man will play Origin football. Early last season, half the people ridiculed me. The other people went, I don't know. But I tell you what, I think he's starting to trend that way. I think he'll at least be in the emerging camp, I think, in 2025. Mate, the ceiling is so high on Dylan Lucas. The versatility as well, as you said, can slip into the centers if need be, which is in the modern game is excellent. It's a must-have almost to have players like that in your roster. So Dylan Lucas, I think, is going to have a breakout year. That left edge of the Newcastle Knights is absolutely the most preferred. It's Kalen Ponga's preferred side to attack. And the double down on that left edge, you're going to have Fletcher Sharp down there. And we all saw what Fletch did in a handful of games for the Newcastle Knights. Mate, he came in, he debuted against the Melbourne Storm in Melbourne. I think he bagged a double and set up a try. He is a quality football player, Fletcher Sharp. He is razor sharp. I think Fletch is very quickly going to pick up what's needed to become a starting 5'8". Is he a finished product? Absolutely. I'm not coming out here and saying, look, is he the best 5'8" in the comp? No. Is he a finished product? No. But I think the highlight packages of Fletcher Sharp, he's just going to be such an exciting football player to watch. He'll quickly become a name a lot of leagueies will know. He won't be that, who's that guy? So they're my 2, mate. Razor Sharp and Dylan Lucas.
2 fantastic shouts, mate. Look, both electric players, and we've already seen what they can offer. Mate, for me, it's Brady Best. Now, we spoke about him a little bit before. Simply the best. Best is yet to come. We can make all the puns in the world, but let's be honest, he is just such a great player. And from what I've seen over the past couple of seasons, you can just see that there's more there. And there's that potential to even go further than what he's already gone. For me, I just see Bradman going to the next level in 2025. And I think even if the Knights don't make the 8, I think he's going to be close to their best player this season. I think he is going to come close to just being, dare I say it, top 4 centre in the NRL in 2025. I think he'll be up there. The speed he possesses, the size he's got, it's just incredible that this guy – I don't want him to leave Newcastle for you, but where are these clubs? They should be trying to get this signature. They should be trying to get Brady Best because everyone could use a best in their side. He is absolutely incredible. He is my dynamite player for 2025. I just think he's going to go to new heights this season. But that is all we have time for the Newcastle Knights team preview. We'd like to thank Links from the Knights. Of course, check him out on all social media and, of course, Spotify as well. If you are watching on the YouTube, don't forget to check out our Supercoach and Fantasy comps with the codes in the description there, of course. Check us out on social media as well, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you like to listen. But until next time, that's Links. I'm Joey. Be good.